I'm Dan Coflin. Welcome to What the Bible Really Says. You know, the world we live in can be a really dangerous place. The private security industry is booming, and we're all encouraged to protect ourselves and our loved ones with all kinds of helpers. Security systems, motion detectors, doorbell cameras, safe rooms, biometric gun safes, monitoring systems. All of these things to safeguard our lives and property from thieves and those who might want to harm us. So being prepared and taking sensible precautions is a good idea for all of us, but what does the Bible say about who our enemies really are? You know, in biblical days, the high walls and massive gates to protect the inhabitants from invaders would surround the towns. When the gates were destroyed or the walls were broken down, the enemy had access to terrorize, to steal, and destroy those who lived there because their defenses were compromised. The city of Jerusalem had experienced such distress when the Babylonians broke down the city walls and burned the gates. And then the entire population of the city was exiled for 70 years. When the Jews did return, one of their greatest needs was to secure the city. Nehemiah was one of those officials that returned from Babylon with the assignment of rebuilding the walls and the city. And he said to those who were there, "Then said I unto them, you see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. So come on, let's build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach." That's Nehemiah 2:17. Nehemiah was able to organize the people to rebuild and secure the city from their enemies. In a short 52 days, the walls of the city were completed. In Nehemiah 6:15 and 16, it says, "So the wall was finished, and when all of our enemies heard thereof, they were much cast down in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was a work of God." Today, people and families are very much like broken, walled cities of old. Their enemies have entered in and robbed them of peace and prosperity and security, and many of these victims do not even recognize the identity of their adversaries. The Bible shows us that our real enemies are not people, Ephesians 6:12, but they are unseen forces that come against us with thoughts and feelings and fears and judgments. These enemies of God and man attempt to deceive people and divide them with lies and accusations, fostering hatred and contempt for one another, bringing blame and provoking hostilities that ultimately lead to the destruction of relationships and partnerships and even to physical harm of property and life itself. Our jails and hospitals are filled with those who have injured others or themselves, and they blame everyone but the true manipulators who remain unseen. So, how do we fight an unseen foe? The Bible tells us that our weapons are not physical, but they are mighty and powerful, 2 Corinthians 10:4. Our unseen armor is not something that we manufacture ourselves. Truth, righteousness, good news of peace, faith, salvation, and the Word of God are our only defenses, Ephesians 6:14 through 17. These things are not of our own making. God gives them to us, but we must be willing to receive them. Some people will refuse to receive what God has so freely given because they did not obtain it by their own strength or wisdom. To gain victory over our enemies, we must first humble ourselves and acknowledge that our victory is not because of our strength, but because of God's love. Our ability to receive from God begins with humbling ourselves before Him. Then, submitting ourselves to Him, we can receive what only God has to give. We receive His truth and righteousness, His peace and salvation, and these things change us. God empowers us to walk in love, even towards those who count us their enemy. If we live in the love of God and we are free from offense and from judging others, then we can cast down those vain thoughts and exalted imaginations our unseen adversaries use to bait us to believe the worst about others and ourselves. God becomes a wall of fire about us, and His glory fills our lives. Zechariah 2:5. We can keep our cities, our families, our homes and businesses, ministries, our country. We can keep them all safe and secure from every work of the enemy when Jesus is Lord and we choose to humbly receive from him the power that overcomes every evil work. 1 John 5, 3 through 5. I pray you be clothed with the unseen armor of God, safe from the lies of the enemy, and may you be filled with joy and your homes with the blessings of God as you choose to walk in love and humbly receive from God and be obedient to his word. I pray this session's been helpful to you and that you'll join me again for another session of What the Bible Really Says.